What I really wanted to have in here is I just want to make sure it's authentic, okay? And
Right.
in order for it to be authentic, I need to, obviously speak with people that have been in situations like this or have experienced emotions like the character is. And I wanted to get your opinion and also ask you three or four delicate questions about, your time in the military, a little bit about your, the action you've seen, and how that's affected you. I know we had a discussion a while ago about your, your PTSD, and I'd
Yeah,
like,
like mine is mine. I served in Mogadishu, which wasn't a combat zone, but it was a combat zone. This was a humanitarian mission that I got stuck in. So
yeah,
as far as combat goes, there were mortar attacks, there were pop shots and stuff like that, but there was no really major, nothing like Afghanistan or Iraq,
okay.
other than Bangkok down,
So the
which
doc,
was a rough day for people that were involved in it.
okay.
Mm.
Do you mind telling me a little bit about that?
Well, my PTSD, personal experience with PTSD, um, yeah, you get itchy around loud noises. It takes a lot of adjusting. You're in a geographical location that is war torn. So you're talking not even third world. It's below that.
Okay.
So it's coming home and adjusting from that kind of tension. It's not just that, you're in another country and the majority of the population doesn't want you there, whether they're actively trying to kill you or not, is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of stress. There's also a lot of physiological stuff going on with soldiers overseas because of the medications and vaccines for anthrax. Methylquin was a huge issue for us in the 90s.
Okay.
And they add to the problems. You're supposed to just go right back to first world living. Everybody expects you to be all right. You're
Yep.
supposed to just fit right back in. Your day to day is supposed to be what it was before you left.
Yep.
Then when you were gone under all of that stress and tension, your family was learning to do everything without you. So now you come home and you have to find your place in society, in the family unit, all over again because everything has changed.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to do that with no issues. It doesn't work. Anger, a lot of soldiers, I mean, during my time, PTSD was still pretty stigmatized until like the surge in '06.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, you didn't talk about PTSD. You didn't talk about nightmares. You crawled into a bottle, kept your mouth shut, tried to deal with it, which inevitably always makes it worse.
Okay.
Always makes it worse. But it's not so much. I would have to, if I was going to identify PTSD, it's more of an overload of stimulation than anything else. Our brain just can't process it, so it defaults to rage, anger, and defense. And it's a very hard place to get out of once the adrenaline kicks in.
Okay. Now, if I could just jump in real quick, the document that I've sent you, I don't know if you managed to read that ahead of the call. Well, if you get a chance after we've done
I'll
the
finish.
call, and just let me know if that's reads or it sounds authentic, and if you have anything critical to say about it, please let me know, and we'll get it changed because, I mean, I do have some other questions to ask you, and later, what I want to really ask you about is what you think is important for others to understand about living with PTSD. But before we get to that, um, just jumping back to what you were saying about coming back and trying to
Yeah.
find normality again. What's helped you find moments of peace or relief when things have seemed overwhelming?
Like I said, I did Mogadishu. A lot of my PTSD has to do with the fact of how thin the thread that holds the actual society we live in together is.
Yeah.
I know how fast it can go to shit, and I know how bad it can get. I've seen hyperinflation, I've seen famine, I've seen starvation, I've seen food weaponization, I've seen every nasty act, human shields, the works. I know how low humanity can go. That's what irritates me more than anything. As far as living with PTSD, uh, the biggest thing I would say, I went 24 years with undiagnosed brain damage and zero help. So my
Wow.
path, I went through the alcohol, I went through the drugs, I ended up homeless, I went through all kinds of nightmares. It ended with my girlfriend disappearing 8 months pregnant and selling my daughter at birth
Oh
in
my God.
Texas. And they used my military records against me in that court case in violation of federal law, and nobody cared. And nobody cares is the biggest thing you'll hear from any veteran. Nobody knows how easy it is for a loved one to just put a hand on our shoulder and snap us out of that and bring us back to reality. Nobody knows how simple it is. We don't care about gifts at Christmas. We care about who we're spending the day with. And a lot of us end up spending it alone because we know our energy is bad.
Yeah.
We know we're not capable of that kind of lovable, loving, sociable relationship for an extended period of time. And the isolation is the biggest problem. If I was going to tell anybody how to deal with PTSD, it would be don't drink, find someone you can trust to talk to, a psychologist instead of a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Because psychiatrists will only give you meds. I would tell them find someone to trust that they can talk to that actually has their back. You're going to go through a lot of that. But do not isolate would be the biggest one.
Yeah. And
Because the more you isolate, the harder it gets to adjust to dealing with people.
well, this is all ringing very true throughout the story that I've written, and it sounds like it's been a harrowing experience for yourself.
It's been a nightmare, dude. The shit, let's put it this way. The time I spent in Mogadishu was rough and eye-opening, and methylquin destroyed my brain, and the nightmares and the little kids starving outside the fence and shit are things I'll never forget and will never go away. But how I got treated at home and the way things have gone since then, I think a lot of veterans that suffer from PTSD and stuff, I bet you at least 60, 70% of them will tell you they'd rather be back in a combat zone than living here in this country right now or any other country. Because there's an honesty to a combat zone that you cannot get in society.
Okay. And are there any activities or sort of people or routines now that make you feel a bit more supported?
We're fourth.
Could you repeat
Sorry,
that? Could you repeat that, please?
I got into outdoor sports. I bought a four-wheeler and I bought a snowmobile. And where I live, there's a lot of trails, like thousands of miles of outdoor wood trails and stuff to ride. So getting back to nature was a big thing for me. I trail ride a lot. Video games were a huge help in getting me through and made it possible for me to reach out and talk to people and meet people
Yeah.
that didn't have anything to do with my active real world life, which made it easier to, I mean, you're one of them.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
the escapism.
via the internet, just to fill the void that was in my real world. And that was a huge help too. So, I mean, there are a million different activities. I got one fellow veteran. He's really big on ice fishing and hunting. I got another one that got into paragliding, another one that's into rock climbing. So it's all up to you as to what activity is going to be best for you. But one that gets you outdoors and doesn't require alcohol is probably best.
Well, that's where my character is kind of right now. He's he's just like he's isolated himself. He's living at home on his own. He's had a big bust up with the family. Things have gone wrong, as you'll obviously read. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is all extremely, extremely insightful, and thank you so much for talking with me about this. And
It's been 30 years, and I did the majority of the work myself. And weed is a huge, huge thing. Even my psychologist agrees. If it wasn't for marijuana, I'd have killed myself or someone else.
okay, and that draws me to this question then. So, with that in mind, how do you navigate days when the memories feel sort of particularly heavy?
I'm one of the ones that's trapped in a cycle that's 30 years old. My brain didn't finish developing because of methyl and PTSD.
Okay.
I stopped living at 20 instead of 25. So my body is physically stuck in, January, February, nice and peaceful. March, I get a little anxious, blood flows April all the way through October when I served over there. And then in November, I calm down. December's okay. January and February's okay. I wind back up in March. My body is stuck in a loop. My brain rat. I can remember stuff from 30 years ago clearer than I can remember yesterday.
Wow.
That's how vivid the stuff is. So, I mean, good days, bad days. On a good day, I have to admit, I'm getting to a better place. The last 6 years have been all right. I'm doing better.
Are there
But
are there warning signs or triggers you've learned to recognize beforehand?
there are things that I've learned to avoid. I stay away from really big crowds. I don't live in a city.
Hmm.
Mogadishu was a city in ruins. It was tearing itself apart, literally eating itself alive. I don't live in a city. So it's a rural community. They hate me. It's okay. But no, uh, I stay away from a lot of large crowds. Um, I spend to live a more defensive lifestyle. I'm proactive as far as my own safety and stuff goes.
Okay.
There are places that I avoid. Bars are a waste of time. There's always some idiot that's going to try, some. So I don't go out. I don't drink. I've been sober 7 years, and without the alcohol, life has been a lot calmer. So yeah, there are some warning signs. I was a trucker in the military, so I tend to drive very, very aggressively. But yeah, if somebody gets too close to my tailgate and stuff like that, I can get itchy.
Okay. And finally, as I mentioned to you earlier, I think it's really important, for the story, and I think from someone like yourself as well but well, it's for the audience, what do you think is the most important thing for others to understand about living with PTSD? Do you think there's any sort of misconception about it that you?
Plenty of misconception. Everybody thinks we're emotionally blocked. They think we're all logic, we're all problem solving, and other than that, we don't show a lot of emotion, and it's not because we're emotionally blocked. It's because emotions are It's part of the training. It's nothing spectacular. It's just you're a number. You're a piece of shit when you join basic training, and you're just a private when you get out of basic into active duty. And there's always somebody above you telling you you're doing something wrong. $1 million worth of equipment every day at your disposal and under your care, but you can't have a toaster oven in your room because you might burn the building down.
It's crazy.
It's institutionalized living without the handcuffs. That's any military.
Okay.
My opinion.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. But no, it is. It's institutionalized living without the handcuffs. And when you get out of the military and you're totally in charge of everything, well, what do you mean nobody's telling me what to do today? Some of us have a problem adjusting. Some of us have a problem adjusting.
And what message would you share with someone who might be feeling isolated or sort of misunderstood because of PTSD?
There is somebody you can reach out to. There is somebody in your circle, regardless of how small it is, that you can reach out to that will answer the phone or show up. You know who it is, but you have to actually swallow your pride and reach out.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it there. So I don't want to like get you to go on too much and like get all this coming back to you. And
Trust me, I'm like I said, I'm a unique case. I'm in a space where I can actually talk about it these days. I don't have any real issues with telling people what they do to get their head out.
Mhm.
You know? I mean, I'm not mean without reason. I just, yeah, I keep my circle very small.
I mean, is there anything else you want to add to this?
I mean, we pretty much covered every base. The biggest thing, like I said, isolation is the worst thing, is the only worst thing aside from alcohol.
Okay.
You know, finding that hobby. I don't care if it's Legos, I don't care if it's video games, I don't care if it's snowmobiling, dirt biking, riding a Harley, rock climbing, or whatever. Anything that keeps you away from a bar is gonna make it easier. Anything that takes your full focus is gonna give you relief from your brain. So yeah, just don't isolate. Find somebody.
Brilliant. And with your permission as well, because I think this has been an absolutely standout interview. I really do. I would like to upload this online. Give that some thought if that's okay with
You
you.
can upload it online. Do not add my name or picture.
No?
Just mark me down as anonymous Somali vet.
Okay, I will do that. That's you have
Yeah,
you have my absolute
like I said, the
you
home
have my
life.
word.
You know my story. You know
Yeah.
it's been rough.
You have
You know
my
how I got
you have
you
my
here.
word. You have my word. I'll make sure your information's omitted. What I'll do before